What is going on, my friends? My name's Corrupt, and today we're here breaking down for you Zap Edrags and Zap Dragons within this video. So, if you guys want to go ahead and see more content like this, remember to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you guys don't miss any of my educational Clash of Clans content. And consider supporting the channel by checking out the Clash Champs shop down below and using code CorruptYT for 10% off your purchase. So what are you looking for when you're doing Zap Dragons? Well, specifically, you're looking for as many air defenses as you can with your lightning spells. Now, this is going to determine on how spread out they are. If they're too spread out, I would suggest doing a Zap Quake with either 6 lightning and 3 quake, or bringing in 4 lightning and a quake, depending on how close they are, like you see here. Usually this is going to be the latter option, especially when they're a little bit closer together. This is a lot better because you're using less lightning spells and basically just 1 quake, and that way you can bring the rest of your spells for your dragons. This is going to just determine on the base, and this can really help you guys with the base identification. It's very important because base identification is the biggest thing, because remember, that's going to determine your entire army composition, specifically spells, because the spells are definitely going to be the most important part of any dragon attack. It's to keep these dragons moving through the base and making sure that they're staying alive. So that is the main reason to why we are going to be using 2 lightning spells on one, 2 lightning spells on the other, and using a quake to basically have that entire thing surrounded. So that's basically exactly what we're doing here, and you'll see that right here, that we are going to be taking down these 2 air defenses with the Zap Quake method by dropping in 2 lightning spells on each of them and dropping in the quake right in the middle of them in order to take them down and weakening up any defensive structures around them. So that is definitely very important. Now what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are either getting down another air defense with the Sui hero or creating the funnel. In this case here, what we want to do is create this side of the funnel with the Sui hero, and then this area here with a dragon, and then a stone slammer to kind of help clear through and get into the base in order to take down some specific defensive structures. So that's exactly what you're going to be seeing here. We want to make sure that our dragons are staying in the base and moving into the next air defense to take that down, and also getting rid of the EO artillery as quickly as possible. Keeping that up is definitely a bad thing, and it could provide definitely a lot of value for the defender than anything else. So we want to make sure that we're taking it down. As we're moving through, we want to make sure that we're able to get rid of the air defense, even if there are 2 still up. So in this case, we weren't able to take that down with the Sui, but we will be able to take that down with the dragons going in. Now remember that you want to make sure that you are allowing your dragons to move through. As you see here, we're using the Rage and we use the Warren ability in order to protect them. Notice that we're using the freeze spell as well with the dragons and the balloons in order to take down the back end air defense. And then this last wizard tower, or this last multi-inferno up here, I should say, will be able to be frozen as it is providing a lot of defensive value. So we want to make sure that we're taking that down by using the freeze spell in order to get these dragons to take down that multi-inferno. Other than this though, it's still fairly easy to understand exactly when to use this. It's definitely very important that you guys understand exactly when and where to use it. And for the most part, you want to get as much value from your lightnings and then also from your Sui hero if possible. So now let's go ahead and give you guys an example of using the Zap Edrags. Now we're going to be taking a look at this base design to teach you guys how to use the electro dragons with the lightning spells. Now what you're doing with this is a Zap Quake. What you're going to be doing with this for the most part, and what you're trying to do in terms of base identification, is you're looking for a base that you can get a ton of chain value. This is basically saying something like you go from this expo to this expo over to this wizard tower, and then here, and then maybe over here. So that's exactly what you should be trying to do, because for the most part, that is exactly what you want to try and do. Predict the pathing of your chain from the Edrags. So that's definitely something that is very, very important. But of course, you need to create a funnel. So what we want to do with this is we want to make sure that we're getting into the EO artillery compartment. by creating one side of the funnel with maybe an E-Drag and the queen with an ice golem, and then the same thing on the other side with the king, and of course an E-Drag. We can then send our E-Drags right in for the Eager Artillery. Now what we're doing with our lightning spells is we want to take down 1, 2, or even 3 air defenses, but typically we want to get 2 air defenses. Very similar to how a regular dragons or Zap Dragons would. We want to make sure that we are using them to take down the air sweepers along with the air defenses, and then weakening up anything else like a multi-inferno. You'll see that they're going to be placed right here, weakening up all the defending structures around there, and that's easily going to allow you to get a triple with this. Just remember though that you want to take down air defenses and possibly get rid of sweepers if you can. That is definitely very, very important. It can really help you in the long haul. Now, when you are using this attack, though, make sure that you are identifying where those air defenses are, because it's definitely going to be very important. So like you see here, we're going to use them right there in order to take these down, and then we're going to use the last 3 on that and quake the rest of this. Now, you may have already noticed we don't have a poison. The reason why is we took down the clan castle. Now, this is a good thing that you guys can really try to do. Doesn't mean that you're going to be doing it on every single base, but if you notice that the clan castle is by air defenses and air sweepers, then it might be more worth it to do a zap quake on it. Make sure though that it's in range of the other defensive structures like the air defenses and the sweepers. That way you're not just weakening the clan castle, but you're also weakening the other defensive structures around it, and that's going to create some padding for you and the E-Drags. Now what you can do is you can definitely use a rage spell. You really need to make sure that you're able to use the rage, because remember, E-Drags are pretty slow, so you need to make sure that you're able to get them right through the base and make sure that they're staying through. For the most part, using a rage spell with them is going to help a lot. Now with this, you aren't bringing many free spells, but you don't really need them too often. The only time that you're going to need it is for the balloons in the slammer. Like you'll see here, as we're driving through, we do want to use that Warren ability in order to protect all of these E-Drags, especially from a lot of heavy fire like an expo farm or something like that. So like you saw here, there were a bunch of expos, and that was going to really put a large emphasis on if we were going to 3-star with this. Now, of course, one of the biggest things here is, what about these 2 air defenses at the bottom? We have a bunch of E-Drags going down this way and the slammer to go in for this. We want to use the freeze with the balloons. That way we're able to take them down, because the E-Drags can easily get chain value on top of the air defense. So like you'll see here, they're going to easily work themselves right over to the air defense and take it down. We're going to drop in a freeze because we can drop it right in between both the multi and the air defenses and take them down. That's really all you kind of need to consider when you guys are using the Zap E-Drags. For the most part, E-Drags are pretty good in terms of getting rid of the rest of the base, because they're definitely good in terms of chain value. Other than that though, that should help you guys a lot in terms of finding the right base, how to get the value, and like you saw right here, getting rid of the clan castle is definitely something that you can do with the electro dragons and the lightning spells. Basically, the zap quake with the clan castle and anything else surrounding it is huge. Sometimes you'll do this with regular dragons, but it's definitely really nice to do when you can get it and the base is more vulnerable to it. So that gives you guys a good example of it. Let's go ahead and give you guys another example of the Zap Dragons. Now, if you do not need too many spells for your dragons, then this is going to be a perfect thing for you. This is going to be using a Zap Dragons to take down 3 air defenses with the Zap Quake, and then 1 with the Sui hero. That means that you have no more air defenses to get rid of. This works really well when the air defenses are very spread out, like you see here. And then all you have to really do is just charge into an area. This could be absolutely anywhere. For the most part though, we do want to get down the Eager Artillery as quickly as possible. So that's exactly why we're going to be hitting from this direction. So by taking down this air defense here and these 2 down here with the lightning spells, that's just going to make it very easy on those back ends, and all we have to do is just Sui hero here for the other air defense, and we can start sending in our dragons once we create the other side of the funnel. That way what we're able to do is basically just send in our dragons full send them in, and easily take down a large portion of the base. Keep in mind though that you do want to make sure that you are creating a funnel, so maybe hold on to your slammer. That slammer is definitely going to be very important, especially if you need to control your dragons. So making sure that you're able to take down defenses that could cause them to go onto the outside is definitely very important that you guys should really try to understand. And you guys will see that within this example. Holding on to the slammer in order to make sure that you're able to then send that into the base to help funnel your dragons. You'll see from here is that this base could be used against an Edrag, but notice that none of those sweepers are really in a good spot in terms of the Edrags, and there's this dead zone that kind of makes it a bit more difficult for the Edrags, so it's definitely not worth it. But you'll see from here that what we're doing is we are doing a Sui hero on one side with the king to create this part of the funnel, and a Sui hero over here with an ice golem and the queen to get rid of the air defense and also create a funnel. So what we're also doing over here is using a Zap Quake. So we're going to be using the 2 lightning spells here in order to sort of get rid of this, and then using that quake in order to take that down. And then we've also got 2 lightnings and then another quake and 2 more on top of the last air defense. But you may also notice that we're weakening the expos up as well. So it's definitely very important to really understand that. It's in order to make sure that those defenses will be taking less shots from those dragons to take down. Basically, that's going to allow your dragons to easily work themselves through. Now, as the dragons are moving in this direction, we do want to control their pathing. So we want to send in a stone slammer to control them, make sure that they're staying in the base. Now, for the most part, this could sometimes definitely backfire, but it is still very easy to use. You'll notice that we're dealing with a clan castle very easily with our dragons. We don't need to poison at all. So we want to make sure that we're sending in the slammer in order to help these dragons move through. Now, the only problem with this one was the dead zone, because that dead zone kind of split these dragons up in a way that probably the attacker didn't want to, but he was still able to get some sort of value from it. And making sure that he uses that warn ability in order to protect the dragons as they start to move through into the base. Still very, very simple, and even though these expos are firing down on them, there's not too much DPS left on the base that's going to really hurt them. This is to where you can get a ton of value from just using 3 lightning. Now, of course, this is going to determine on your personal preference. Zap dragons are definitely very common. You can use them in really any way, and for the most part, you should be able to get a triple relatively easily. Now, this strategy, unlike the Edrags, is definitely better when the base is a little bit more spread out in terms of the sweepers, the air defenses, and stuff like that. It works a lot better in considerate of that, and you also want to make sure that you are taking down as many of the defenses as possible as you're moving through with the dragons. So with that being said, let's go ahead and move on into the final one, which is going to be Zap Edrags. Now, as the final example, this one is going to give you the best chances of really getting to understand when you should be lightning away the clan castle and when you shouldn't. As an example here, take a look at where that clan castle is. There really isn't too much value surrounding it for a Zap Edrag. But the reason that a Zap Edrag was chosen on this base was, take a look at the value that you can get on either side. This is a symmetrical base, so we can take advantage of that by using 2 lightnings here and 2 lightnings here with a quake that covers both of these air defenses. What does this mean? We're going to take down, for the most part, all of these buildings here. This is all that we're taking down, and we're not just taking it down on one side, but we're taking it down on the other side. What that means is we're taking down all 4 air defenses with basically 8 zaps. Or 8 lightning spells, I should be saying. That is exactly what you guys should be doing. You want to take advantage of how defenses are placed here. If you can get more than just air defenses, for instance, multi-target infernos are a good thing. By taking those down, you should be able to easily start working yourself right into the base, and you won't need to worry about them. This can also be done against singles, yet they're definitely not super difficult to get around, but they're definitely something that you could definitely try to take out. Other than this though, that is the main thing that you're doing with the lightning spells. And you'll see that right here that what we're going to be doing is dropping in the Quake spell, and then we're going to be using the 2 lightnings on either side to take those down. We're going to do it on the same thing on the other side here by using the 2 lightnings on either side of those along with the Quake. Now what this means is for this attack is we can now send this from absolutely any area. Of course, you may think that we're going to be sending it down this way, but because there's too much DPS surrounding this area, we should hit from the bottom side. Getting rid of the eagle is another top priority. So what we're going to be doing is we're basically just trying to clear out some of this area here, and then also we want to make sure that we are getting defensive pathing for our Stone Slammer. We want to send this Stone Slammer in right for the Eagle Artillery. So it doesn't matter which side we hit from because it's a symmetrical base, meaning that we can just hit from absolutely any side and we can basically adjust on the fly like you see here. The Edrag on the left already took down a ton of value, so we can actually create the funnel on the opposite side, then send in the Edrags while the Slammer goes for the Eagle Artillery. Very simple stuff. All we want to make sure that we're doing is allowing everything to start moving in. And there's not too many buildings here, so it gives our Edrags a little bit of leeway, and this is where we don't really need to bring too many rage spells. This is the only time to where just using one rage spell is a lot better, and you'll see that right here that we are going to be using this Warren ability in order to make sure that we are protecting these Edrags, and of course by using the rage spell with the other Edrag, the max Edrag, to get through the bottommost section of the base. Since that max Edrag does a lot of damage, it's definitely going to be very good to bring. Other than this though, you guys can still see that it's pretty easy. It's basically wrecked. So hopefully this kind of helps you guys understand Edrags just a little bit more. I understand that they are fairly difficult to use. Sometimes you'll get 2 stars with them, but hopefully this video is going to be very helpful for you to find the right bases that you guys can really dominate easily with Edrags. So if you guys did enjoy, remember to leave a like on the video, remember to subscribe for more of my educational Clash of Clans content, and don't forget to ring that notification bell. Also, don't forget to go ahead and follow me on Twitter or Instagram on the social. Feel free to go ahead and follow me on Twitch, and also feel free to join my community Discord server and any of the clans I cover within the game. Those Discord servers links are in the description below. And last but not least, don't forget to use code CORRUPT in the Clash Champs shop for 10% off any purchase in their shop. Thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully you guys did enjoy, and I'll be seeing you guys next time. Corrupt, signing out.